envelope sheet.
So today I'm going to show you how I make my edits. For this tutorial, I don't want to make it too long, so I'm just going to show you the basic stuff. To begin, I will just make a new project and make a new composition. Now I will make a square edit. I usually make square edits because they look better on Instagram. And the height and width depends on your scene. But since my scene is 1080p, I'm going to put 1080 by 1080 for the width and height. But if your scene is 720p, then you should put 720p by 720p. And for frame rate, I'll just put 30. And the duration depends on how long your scene is. So okay, it's like 3 minutes long, so to put 3 minutes for my composition. Okay, so now I'm going to firstly rename my composition to main, and now I'll just import my clips by double clicking in this window and then selecting my two files, so my scene and also my song. So now that we've imported our files, we can begin. So the first thing I always do is I'll just place my song from where it begins to where I want it to end. So I'm just going to hide my scene for now.
What? You can push yourself beyond Super Saiyan?
Okay, I'm going to cut my clip here by pressing Command Shift D or Control Shift D on Windows, and delete the first part. I'll just drag it to the start. So what I like to do in my edits is start the song silent, but then build it up so it gets to a normal volume when the first beat drops. So I'm just going to make a keyframe at the beginning and put like -26, but then I'm going to make another keyframe, and then just after that I'm going to put one with a value of 0. So now we get
I don't know your story, but
a build-up. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is begin choosing our clips for our scene. So I'm just going to cut a clip with Command Shift D or Control Shift D, and then where the scene ends, I'll cut it again. And then the next scene, I'll do the same thing. Okay, so now that we've got all our clips, the next thing we're going to do is start marking the beat of the the song we're going to use. So each drop we're going to mark with a specific marker. So I'll put the audio back on, and the best way to do this is by just right here. I'm going to press Control 8, but make sure you don't select any clips, so that when we mark a drop, it just becomes attached to our timeline and not to a specific clip. So I'm just going to marking. So now what we're going to do is we're going to sync them with the beat. So what we're going to do is you select the clip, then we're going to go to time, enable time remapping. We're going to put a keyframe at the beginning and the end of the clip, and then what we'll do is we'll drag the keyframe to the next point of the marker. We'll cut the clip, delete the rest, and we'll do the same for each clip. So a shortcut to enable time remapping is Command Alt T or Command Option T, and then we'll do the same thing for each clip. So drag the keyframe to the next point. Okay, so now that you've synced your clips with the beat, we're going to select our two keyframes. Right click on a keyframe and go to Keyframe Assistant, Easy Ease. The next thing we'll do is go to our graph editor right here. And if you can't see this view, just right click on your window and go to Edit Value Graph. So now we're going to change the velocity of our clip. So basically what we'll do is we'll click this square and we're going to drag it down, and we're going to drag this one up so that we'll get this curve. It means that it's gonna go slow, and then the clip will end up fast. So we'll just preview that, and we'll basically do the same thing to every clip. So Keyframe Assistant, Easy Ease, and then drag it again down, and this one up. Okay, so now that we have changed the velocity of our clips, I'm going to show you guys one more thing. If you noticed that you missed a point, like I did, you can just drag your marker a bit earlier, and then to resync your clip, what you'll do is you'll drag the keyframe to that point and then extend your clip. But you can't extend your clip first and then drag your keyframe, or else it won't sync well. So you always have to drag your keyframe first and then extend your clip. And then you have to go back to your graph editor, because the velocity changed a bit as well. So you'll have to adjust that too. So now, okay, so that looks okay. But what I like to do to make my clips smoother is enable frame blending. And when it's checked, your icon will become blue. But then you also have to select your clips, and then go to your switches. If you can't see these 4 squares, go to toggle switches or modes and press 2 times on the first square. So now it will make extra frames in between your clips. So now if we visualize it. Okay, so now we're going to add some transitions. For this tutorial, I'm going to show you a simple scale transition. By doing that, you have to open your clip, unfold your clip, sorry, and go to transform, and then check the scale watch once. Go to the end of your clip, and we're going to zoom out for this transition. So we're going to have to resize the scale to like about 30%. Now you'll see that there's a like background, but for your transitions, what you always have to do is put a motion tile on your clip, put the width and output height on about 500, mirror your edges, and you can copy this motion tile and paste it on the rest of your clips. Okay, so now that we have our clip zooming out, we have to make the next clip zoom in. So we're going to our scale again, and put in about 150%, and then scale it down to 100 again. So now you'll have to select the keyframes, ease them again, go to your graph editor, but this time go to your edit speed graph. So right click, edit speed graph, and then drag the left square to the right and the right square also to the right. So what this does is it begins slow but ends quickly. Now we're going to do the same thing for our second clip, but we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to drag the right square to the left and the left square also to the left, and now we'll have this transition. So you can basically copy this transition by selecting your 2 keyframes, copying it, then selecting your clip you want to paste it on, then press Ctrl V or Command V, then drag these keyframes to the end, and do the same thing for the next clip. Okay, now that we have our basic edit, we're going to make another composition by going to our project window, create a new composition. I usually name this trends because I add more stuff to it, like warp transitions and stuff. So yeah, next thing we're going to do is drag our main into this one, and the first thing we'll do is put a motion tile on our main and add the same settings, so width 500 and height same, mirror our edges, and then we'll add a new adjustment layer by pressing right click, go to new adjustment layer, and we'll name this wiggle. And here I always put my wiggles on, so I put a position and rotation wiggle, so that it doesn't stay still the whole time. And for the settings, I don't overdo it. I usually set the amount for the position to 15, And for rotation, I put it at like 2 degrees. I also usually add motion blur to my edit, but it's a plugin that you'll have to download. It's called RSMB, and I'll just drag it onto my main composition. I'm just going to let this render a bit. Okay, so in this composition I also like to add rotation wiggles. So we're going to make a new adjustment layer. Call this shake, and then we're going to search for the transform effect in our effects and presets. We're going to drag it onto shake. Then we'll go to rotation, and I'll start a keyframe with 0 degrees. Go 2 frames forward and put like 5 degrees. Go 1 frame forward and put like -4 degrees. 1 frame forward again and put 3 degrees, and then go 2 frames forward again and put 0 degrees. Select your keyframes and easy ease them, and now we can put this just between 2 clips, and I'll show you what it looks like. I'll put it on this one. And if you don't like how it looks, you can adjust them by pulling them apart. As you can see, I've put them here, and it starts to shake before the second clip comes in. I'm going to paste them, select them again, and then paste them onto other scenes. And if you want to go back and put other scales, you can do that just by going back to your main composition. And I'm going to put a scale on this clip, and now it will be updated in our second composition. I'm just going to render the whole thing, and I'm going to show you the final part. Okay, so the last part I'm going to show you is color correction. So we're going to make another adjustment layer by going to new adjustment layer and naming it CC. And then what I use for my color corrections is Lumetri color. So drag that on your CC adjustment layer, and then I always like to sharpen my my edit by going to creative, and then I always put sharpen on 100. I also like to put a bit of faded film, depends on the scene though. Add some vibrance, and I also like to put contrast on by going to basic correction and then upping the contrast a bit. So I also use something else for my color corrections, but it's a third-party plugin called Lux, a Magic Bullet Lux. You can look it up if you want to, but for this tutorial I'm just going to show you how to make your color correction without any plugins. So yeah, I'm just going to let this play out. Okay guys, so this was basically it for the tutorial. I know I didn't really show you how I actually make my most recent edits. But if I would do that, then this tutorial would be way longer, and you'd have to also install all these plugins that I use. So, but if you have questions, you can put them down below in the comments, and I'll answer them. Or if you want to see a part 2 where I show you more of the effects I actually use in my most recent edits, let me know. So yeah, this was it. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.